Welcome to the whiteboard presentation of the syllabus for the history of modern philosophy. This famous statement by the German philosopher Hegel indicates that we only really come to understand events by looking back historically at them. That is what the meaning of Minerva's owl flying at dusk is. And we have our own version of Minerva's owl as our class symbol that you will see on all the slides for this course. Our owl is the little owl by the early modern artist Albrecht Dürer. This is for fall semester 2016. Philosophy 202, sections 1 and 3, held Tuesdays and Thursdays 9:30 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. in JKB 2105, and also held Tuesdays and Thursdays 3 p.m. to 4:15 p.m. in JKB 1105. Here is a little bit about your instructor. That's him there in the picture in his office. His name is Gordy Maurer. His office is JFSB 4083. His office phone is 801-422-6514. His office hours are 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. For email, use Learning Suite. He has a department website and an e-folio. There is also a separate whiteboard presentation about the instructor that is available on Learning Suite. Course description. Here is the description of the course as listed on the BYU Philosophy website. Philosophy 202, History of Philosophy 2, Western Civilization from Renaissance to Present, primarily from perspective of philosophy, exploring fundamental questions in human experience, examining formative events in history, understanding value of important texts. This is a Western civilization course that emphasizes the history of philosophy for the modern period, the period of Western civilization running from the Renaissance to contemporary times. Our main emphasis will be on the history of modern philosophy, beginning at around 1500 with Machiavelli and running up through the important philosophical movements of the 20th century. Functions of the course. This course has 3 different functions. It is a core Civilization 2 course. It also counts as a core letters course. Finally, it functions as the Survey of Modern Philosophy course for philosophy majors. Let's investigate these functions. Here are the official descriptions of what such core courses entail. Civilization Core. The university's mission statement affirms the importance of a broad university education which will help students understand important ideas in their own cultural tradition as well as that of others. This is elaborated in the aims of a BYU education, which states that each student should seek to understand the development of human civilization and to gain a general historical perspective, including perspective on one's own discipline. Within this historical perspective, students should acquire a lively appreciation of the artistic, literary, and intellectual achievements of human cultures. The civilization requirement helps students achieve these aims. The 2-semester sequence, which divides at roughly AD 1500, is designed to provide a systematic foundation and historical framework for other university core courses and for the enrichment of the student's major. Further, in order to initiate a common experience for students at BYU, the sequence will examine certain themes and figures themselves common to all courses satisfying the requirement. The criteria for a civilization course. In summary, the civilization sequence aims to cultivate in the student a knowledge of those events generally recognized to be formative and fundamental to the history of civilization. A considered and disciplined exploration of some important questions and themes, based at least partly upon the testimony of particular works. And an understanding established through active confrontation with individual works of their beauty, power, and worth to us. Letters Core Course. The letters requirement addresses one of the fundamental reasons for BYU's existence. Seek ye diligently, and teach one another words of wisdom. Yea, seek ye out of the best books words of wisdom. Seek learning, even by study, and also by faith. Doctrine and Covenants, section 88, verse 118. The BYU mission statement declares that the arts, letters, and sciences constitute the core of the broad university education BYU seeks to provide. In addition, the aims of a BYU education document lists among the 5 broad areas of human knowledge that should be included in an undergraduate education a lively appreciation of the artistic, literary, and intellectual achievement of human cultures. The letters requirement invites students to approach language and literature as a source of knowledge and aesthetic pleasure, a mode of encountering and evaluating diverse minds and attitudes, a vehicle for art and action, a means of historical understanding, and a source of spiritual insight. Consistent with the aims of a BYU education, the letters requirement develops within students the ability to keep a proper perspective when comparing the things that matter most with things of lesser importance, and the ability to engage successfully in logical reasoning, critical analysis, moral discrimination, creative imagination, and independent thought. History of philosophy. This course further functions as a gateway course for philosophy majors and minors. Together with Philosophy 201, this course is the only broad survey of the history of philosophy. To meet these various functions, we will have learning activities that cover the main bodies of modern Western philosophical thought, placed in the greater cultural context of their times. We will examine seminal pieces of art, literature, and music, and we will examine the formative historical events of the period. The readings will be primarily philosophical, but we will cover more general aspects of cultural history and letters in video lectures and in class activities. Texts. There is one main text for this course, The Great Conversation, a historical introduction to philosophy, 7th edition, by Norman Melchert, published by Oxford University Press. A few other readings will be available on Learning Suite. There will be a brief reading on how to read philosophy, and there will be 2 journal articles that will be used for the second paper. Learning activities. For this course, we will do all of the following learning activities. We will do out-of-class readings. We will watch out-of-class video files of lecture materials for the class. We will have in-class video components. We will have in-class lecture and instruction components. We will have in-class analysis and discussions of readings. We will do in-class group assignments. We will do in-class quizzes on out-of-class readings and lecture materials. We will write a series of papers. We will do periodic in-class note card assignments. So you will need to buy a pack of 3x5 note cards. During group assignments, we will meet in class with the instructor for one-on-one instruction. We will take a midterm and a final exam. And we will have a class party. The written syllabus outlines how each of these learning activities facilitate learning. Grading. There are 7 grading components for this course. Quizzes are worth 10%. In-class exercises are worth 10%. A first short paper will also be worth 10%. A second medium-length paper will be worth 15%. A midterm exam will also be worth 15%. A term paper will be worth 20%. And a final exam will also be worth 20%. Grading equivalence. Grades will be based on the following percentages and numerical equivalents. An A is 93 to 100%. An A minus is 90 to 92%. A B plus is 87 to 89%. A B, 83 to 86%. A B minus, 80 to 82%. C plus, 77 to 79%. A C is 73 to 76%. A C minus, 70 to 72%. A D plus, 67 to 69%. A D, 63 to 66%. D minus, 60 to 62%. And an E is anything below 60%. The numerical equivalent of an A is a 4. An A minus is 3.7. A B plus is 3.4. A B is 3. A B minus 2.7. A C plus 2.4. A C 2. A C minus 1.7. A D plus 1.4. A D 1. A D minus 0.7. And an E is 0. Here is how I calculate your grade. If your score, for instance, on the midterm, was 84%, then you would receive the letter grade of a B. I translate that letter grade into its numerical equivalent of 3. And I multiply that numerical equivalent by the assignment weight, in this case, 15%, for a weighted value of 0.45. Let's say now that your letter grades for the other assignments were B minus, B plus, B, A minus, and B, which give us weighted values of 0.27, 0.34, 0.3, 0.56, 0.74, and 0.6 respectively. I then sum all the weighted values for a total of 3.26. I then translate this numerical equivalent back into a letter grade, in this case, a B. Learning outcomes. This course falls under the oversight of the BYU Department of Philosophy. Programs and courses administered by this department are designed to meet the following expected learning outcomes. Department Learning Outcome, or DLO1, History and Value of Philosophy. DLO2, Critical and Effective Reading, Writing, and Communicating. DLO3, Logic and Metalogic. DLO4, Philosophical and Ethical Applications. And DLO5, Career Preparation. From these departmental learning outcomes, we derive the 3 following learning outcomes for our course. CLO1, History. Know milestones of Western history and culture from the Renaissance or Reformation through the present. CLO2, Figures and Topics. Acquire a basic understanding of the most important philosophical figures, texts, and issues in late modern and contemporary philosophy. CLO3, Writing. Write a cogent philosophical essay. Learning outcomes linkages. The course learning outcomes are linked to the departmental outcomes as follows. CLO1 is linked to DLO1. CLO2 is also linked to DLO1. CLO3 is linked to DLO2. Each of the department outcomes is in turn linked to the aims of a BYU education. So our course is designed to advance the stated aims of a BYU question. See the written syllabus for the details of these outcomes and linkages. Compliance. The Honor Code. In keeping with the principles of the BYU Honor Code, students are expected to be honest in all of their academic work. Academic honesty means most fundamentally that any work you present as your own must in fact be your own work and not that of another. Violations of this principle may result in a failing grade in the course and additional disciplinary action by the university. Students are expected to adhere to the dress code and grooming standards. Adherence demonstrates respect for yourself and others and ensures an effective learning and working environment. It is the university's expectation and my own expectation in class that each student will abide by all Honor Code standards. Please call the Honor Code office at 422-2847 if you have questions about these standards. Compliance. Preventing sexual discrimination or harassment. Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 prohibits sex discrimination against any participant in an educational program or activity that receives federal funds. The Act is intended to eliminate sex discrimination in education and pertains to admissions, academic and athletic programs, and university-sponsored activities. Title IX also prohibits sexual harassment by students by university employees, other students, and visitors to campus. If you encounter sexual harassment or gender-based discrimination, please talk to your professor. Contact the Equal Employment Office at 801-422-5895 or 888-238-1062, or visit the website www.ethicspoint.com or contact the Honor Code office at 801-422-2847. Compliance. Accessibility issues. Brigham Young University is committed to providing a working and learning atmosphere that reasonably accommodates qualified persons with accessibility issues. If you have any accessibility issues that may impair your ability to complete this course successfully, please contact the University Accessibility Center in 1520 WSC 422-2767. Reasonable academic accommodations are reviewed for all students who have qualified documented disabilities. Services are coordinated with the student and instructor by the UAC office. If you need assistance or if you feel you have been unlawfully discriminated against, you may seek resolution through established grievance policy and procedures. You should contact the Equal Employment Office at 422-5895 D282 ASB. The schedule. I will not go over the entire schedule here, but I do want to call your attention to its features. Mostly it is self-explanatory. Still, there's always a question of when out-of-class learning activities should be completed. There are 4 columns in this schedule. The first is the week number of the semester. The second is the specific date of the class. The third column lists a general topic. The out-of-class learning activities are listed in the 4th column. All the learning activities listed in the 4th column should be completed by the class time of that date. All those out-of-class learning activities will guide our in-class learning activities on that day, including discussions, group activities, note card activities, and quizzes. It should be mentioned that students will not succeed in this class if they do not do out-of-class learning activities and do not attend class. The end. P.S. Be prepared to answer questions about the syllabus on the first quiz.